like to call the Springfield Planning Commission Thursday, October 4th meeting in session. If you would please, we'll stand for the pledge. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to welcome everybody here tonight that's in attendance. If you would please, will we call the roll?
Allen.
Here.
Bibb.
Here.
Boyd. Here. Briggs. Gregg.
Here.
Poole.
Here.
Richard. Here. Thomas.
Here.
Townsend.
Here.
We have 8 present. We have a quorum.
Our first item of business tonight is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of Planning Commission held on September 5th, 2024. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. Now we enter the public comment period. We have, I believe, approximately 7 people here that would like to speak. We want to remind you that you should limit this to 2 minutes, if you would, please. And I'm going to call your name. When I call your name, you come up to the microphone, state your name, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak to us. First, Janie Hester. You're a good one to start with. State your name.
My name is Janie Hester,
All right.
and I am here with some concerns about the neighborhood that's going to come back to Lookout, Springfield Lookout subdivision behind our homes. And I just had some questions about the police protection, the schools, which are already overcrowded. Where are these kids going to be going to school? We're concerned about the amount of traffic on our roads. We've just been a single entry and exit subdivision for all of these years. I've been out there myself about 40 years. We're concerned about what the extra traffic on our roads is going to bring, and especially with the construction as well. What the extra sewer situation, where that's going to connect in, how that's going to affect our neighborhood on our lines. Any of the flooding from maybe the water overflow as these houses are built, as the land behind us has always just been an empty field. Water's been absorbed, so as these astronomical number of houses are going to be built back there, where's the flooding going to, what is the situation with the flooding? And a lot about the value of our homes too. According to Mr. Reyes, the square footage of the houses he's building is going to be like $170 to $180 per square foot. A little research has showed that their existing homes are reselling now for about $200, and some new homes are selling for $230. So why would we want our property values, to go down? It just doesn't seem like it would offset it very well. So that's just the concerns that I had.
Thank you very much. Very good. Next, we'd like to call Gloria Perry. Gloria, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I live on Canterbury, so I have a lot of concerns. I'm asking for the Planning Commission to consider the number of dwellings on this property that is going to be developed. 350 houses is a whole lot on 70-plus acres, and it's going to increase just about everything that we can think of: the sewer system, the water system, our traffic. They're saying that it's going to be 800 to 1,000 cars extra on Canterbury. Our street won't take care of that unless there's some improvements made. And I just think that 10 feet between 2 houses is awfully close. And I'm hoping that Springfield has some fire codes that would prevent flames from going from one house to another. Are they going to consider different building materials, or just what do we have in place to take care of that? Also, if we have lesser dwellings, it will make for a nicer neighborhood. And if this is going to be an HOA neighborhood, I would think that we want some nice homes back there to offset that price. I think 350 dwellings will bring in more money to the city in taxes, but what is the cost to take care of these 350 homes, plus your schools, need for more road repair, police protection, better sewer system, demand for more water, and certainly fire protection.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. David Evans?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commission. My name is Dr. David Evans, and I'm the proud son of James and Judy Evans off of 5136 Concord Road in Springfield, Tennessee, for whom I'm representing tonight. I'm also the proud son of Springfield and Robertson County. I'm born and raised here, therefore I'm homegrown Robertson County, and I am proud of that. A few months ago, my family and friends heard about Lookout Crossing, the development that we're here talking about, and that they were going to build around our beloved Flat Branch Creek, a blue line creek as you guys know it. Creeks, waterways, ponds, and streams are all important elements in our county. Ecosystems, the beauty of our county, nostalgia, family values, and outdoor education are dependent upon such areas. Anything that threatens its existence should raise and cause alarm for us all. My family and our neighbors were alarmed to hear words like dynamiting, jackhammering, trenching, and such when others spoke about this beautiful and beloved natural resource. Fortunately, this past week I got to meet a very one, Pedro Reyes. Mr. Reyes reassured me that his intent was not to dynamite, jackhammer, nor trench, but to continue building by boring under the creek. Thank you. How do I know that boring is the best method? Well, number one, my daddy told me so. My dad actually was a pipe fitter for 48 years. He has certifications and degrees in pipe fitting. He has made sprinkler companies literally billions of dollars for doing this for 48 years. He's traveled globally teaching and training and doing this all over our globe. He's an expert. He knows that boring is going to work. I also read through journals, reports, and abstracts through Ohio and Wyoming and et cetera, because I'm a researcher. And they said that boring is statistically safer on a water source than dynamiting, jackhammering, and trenching. So as you know, boring is astronomically less intrusive to a creek as it relates to dynamiting, trenching, and jackhammering a creek bed. So I want to thank Mr. Reyes for his time that he spent with me and my father and deciding to bore under the creek. For the last few moments, I want to...
Your 2 minutes have passed.
Can I thank the city officials that helped me? Can I plead for one more minute, Commission, as I thank other people like Jeff that have helped me?
Make it a quick one.
Yes, sir. I would like to thank Mark Fields, David Brewer, Clayton Moore, Tim Harris, and Jeff Gregg that spent time with me to talk to me and give me more information. I especially want to thank Ryan Martin for all that he did to sit down with me, make phone calls, grab information, and to give that to me. And finally, again, just thank you, Pedro, for your character, your heart, and your ability to do things right, and like you said, be a good neighbor. Thank you for being a good neighbor and helping keep our creek safe. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
Next, Mr. Paul Perry. If you would
I'm
please
Paul
stand.
Perry.
There you go.
Live at 2807 Canterbury Drive, and I have some concerns about the sewer system. I know they said they was gonna have two pumping stations. They was gonna let it drain all the way to one end of the subdivision, then pump it back out. And one area, they was gonna pump it into Canterbury's manhole cover at the end. My concern is, would that, could the sewer line take it? I mean, that subdivision's been there a good while, and you're talking about, they're talking about maybe 150 houses, they're gonna pump back into Canterbury sewer line. The other, they said it was gonna pump out to the Batson Boulevard with a new sewer line. I'm just concerned that if something happened and something wants to stop up or anything, it could back into people's houses. It's happened before. And the other thing is we would like to see, or I would like to see, a speed limit sign on our roads. If the people they run 60 miles an hour all the time through there. When they was building Batson, we had concrete trucks was doing at least 50 miles an hour down through the road. And what they do when they stop, the four-way stop at the end of Batson, they just fly down towards the road to get to the end of Black or New Cut. It needs to be a speed limit sign. It needs to be more police there. I love to see them set radar up, and they can make the city a fortune. Motorcycles, Camaros fly through that. I mean, it's just unreal how dangerous it is, and it will be. A whole lot more with that many more cars on there. And I was just, another thing I was concerned, if they do the sewer line and water line and all, is it coming through Canterbury Drive,
Your 2 minutes is up.
or is it gonna come some other place? Other words, digging up our yards. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Donna Riley.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak to you tonight. I come to you to ask you not to rezone the property or to let the annexation for Lookout Crossing happen. There's a lot of issues that Ms. Hester and Ms. Perry, they've already brought up. I know the city is expanding their sewer system. I know that they are already buying water from Logan Todd, or we let them know that we're going to need a lot more water from them. I'm concerned there's 235 houses, 47 townhomes with 6 units per townhome. We're looking at 500, almost 600 homes, residents back in that area. It's a lot of residents back in that area. When we went to the meeting to tell us about Lookout Crossing, they told us it was going to be 3,000 extra cars on Black Patch a day. It can't handle that. Black Patch can't handle extra 3,000 cars a day. It's a wrong move. I know you guys are seeing tax dollars, but I'd rather see quality homes instead of quantity of homes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Joel Vedito, is that correct? Did I get close?
Yes, sir, you're good. Thank you. My name is Joel Vedito, and I'm here on behalf of South Haven Baptist Church. We own a property, parcel number 103-005.00, that is on the other side of the new Batson Extension Parkway. If this Lookout Crossing goes as planned, we're not necessarily against it in and of itself, but if it goes as planned, our land will be landlocked. We will not have access to any roads. When we were setting up our access to the new Batson Parkway for our other property, we were told by the city that we would have to come up with some sort of an easement or something through the property that's being proposed to have these properties built on it. And so I've reached out to those in charge of it. I have not received a call back. I reached out multiple times. Been told I was going to get a meeting set up to be able to talk about options. We're open to lots of options to get it taken care of, so that way this isn't an issue in the future. So I'm just asking that you delay it so until somebody will call me back so we can get this situated, so this isn't an issue in the future for anybody. And that's where we're coming and why we're here today to say, hey, we'd like for you to take a pause on this until we can get this taken care of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Terry Scarborough.
Hi, I'm Terry Scarborough, and I'm concerned about many things. First of all, the amount of homes that y'all are going to put in that area is way too many for the acreage you're wanting to put it on. The types of homes are going to be well below what is in the area now, which is only going to hurt the homeowners because the price is going to drop tremendously. The traffic is going to be a nightmare because our roads were not built for that type of traffic to go through there. The irrigation is a concern of mine. The deer, all the wildlife, it's just going to cause one problem after another. The children play on the streets now, And it's not gonna be safe because there's gonna be so much traffic, so they're gonna have to stay inside instead of enjoying nature and won't get to grow up the way we did. And I just would like for y'all really to consider, before you do this, what the effects to the community will be. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. This time, we're going to close the public comment period. Now we enter to the public hearing. Item 1, Plan of Service for Batson Parkway Extension Annexation. Who is going to speak to that?
Public hearing, there'd be somebody from the public.
Anyone want to come up and speak to that, to the plan of services for the Batson Parkway Extension Annexation? Going once, going twice. All right, we'll move to item number 2. Anyone here care to speak to the plan of service for Lookout Crossing Annexation?
Good evening. My name is Nettie Boyle. I'm with CSR Engineering, so we're working on the design of this preliminary master development plan for Lookout Crossing. I just want to thank everybody for being here and voicing their concerns and their care for the community and wanting it to continue to improve. Just to help address some of the concerns that did come up, I know one was stormwater. So for stormwater, as any new development has to be approved through the city and through the state, that our stormwater runoff for pre-development to post-development does not increase. So we have a series of stormwater infrastructure that will be installed and detention ponds that will also detain the water so that our surface runoff does not increase with the proposed development. We do have several access points, so going into the traffic concerns. So we have access points off of Batson Parkway and then again off of Canterbury, and then there'll be another one off of Bluebird. From the foreseeable future, we predict that most of the traffic will be focused towards the Batson Parkway entrance, and we've had a traffic study done. And they take the analysis of what's existing, and then they have a projection of what the area will look like in, I believe it's 5 or 6 years, without any development. And then they also do an analysis of what the traffic loads will be with the development included. And so with that traffic analysis, it wasn't shown that any upgrades were needed with our development. It did show with the growth of the area that signalization on the parkway would be needed in the future, and I believe that might be something that's in the works and then to be taken care of. But as far as traffic concerns from the proposed growth, because of the Batson Parkway being installed, there were no improvements recommended. As far as the creek, I know they spoke about the creek. We are very determined to maintain that creek. We have an average of 30-foot buffer around the creek to preserve and maintain the creek. We've rearranged our development to make sure that the creek is preserved and protected. We do cross the creek in certain points, and then just as they spoke, the utilities will be bored under the creek. And the creek will be protected. And again, all of that has to go through the state. So Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation has to approve all of that, as you guys know, before we have approval to do any kind of construction within, around, across the creek. As far as the fire department, we've been in communication with the fire department to make sure that we are meeting their regulations and requirements. And we're continuing to work with the staff to make sure that they are here for the community and to protect the community, and we're working with the staff to make sure we meet all the required regulations and requirements as far as water, sewer, fire, everything is concerned. Oh, I'm so sorry. And we just want to make sure that we want to improve this community, and we are here to help improve it and to make it better. I did want to add one more thing about the value of the homes. I believe Mr. Reyes said the value of the homes would be $240 to $250 per square foot. So they will improve the value, and that he is working on some quality infrastructure.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak? The plan of service for Lookout Crossing annexation. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. Now we will move on into new business. Item number 2.1, discuss and possibly take action on a performance security renewal for Autumnwood Estates, Section 3. Would you please read this request into the minutes, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a performance surety renewal request for Autumnwood Estate Section 3. The board approved a one-year performance surety last year, but it expired in August. It is since, it has new ownership, and they are requesting that year extension to make those needed improvements. And so staff is agreeable to this. There are 16 units that remain to be built. But staff recommends approval.
Good. Any questions, comments?
Move for approval.
Second.
To approve, we have a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Thomas,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes. Yes.
Bibb,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Townsend,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
passes with 8.
Very good. Moving on to item 2.2, discuss and possibly take action on annexation plan of service for the Batson Parkway extension. Would you please read that request into the minutes?
Thank you. This is an annexation request for the right-of-way owned by the city of Springfield. This is at the end of William A. Batson Parkway Extension. As we near completion of this new roadway, we request that the right-of-way be annexed into the city so that we can maintain, or we can retain control over it, so we can maintain it and make any improvements as needed. This new extension is expected to open tomorrow, and so this aligns with our long-term development goals, and we do recommend that you all approve this.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Would you please call the roll?
Okay. Townsend,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Bibb,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Boyd,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
passes with 8.
Motion. Moving on to item 2.3, discuss and possibly take action on an annexation plan of service, preliminary master development plan, and zoning request for properties located on Canterbury Drive from section AG-2 to specific plan Lookout Crossing. Would you please read this one?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So this is a request to annex and zone properties as specific plan district for the Lookout Crossing development. This development proposes 285 single-family homes, 47 townhomes, a 14,000 square foot commercial space, amenities like a clubhouse, a pool, greenways, and parks. The project is expected to take 6 years in total to develop with 6 phases, 1 stage of commercial and 5 residential stages, with each phase roughly taking a year to complete. The city of Springfield created a plan of service to extend all essential city services. We do have plenty of water, and all of the essential city services will be able to service this area. The specific plan zoning request enables this developer to provide their own standards and design guidelines specific to this area. And there's some benefits to that. As you can see, there's mixed-use development, which combines the commercial, residential, and then also those community spaces. It also provides multimodal transportation. I wanted to point out that they are proposing 26
foot wide roads, introducing the first bike lanes that would be in Springfield, but also narrowing the roads for cars to reduce speeding, but also large enough to allow for that emergency vehicle traffic. Overall, this creates a walkable community with parks and greenways and open space, and overall, the request meets the majority of the requirements, but there are just a few minor items that need to be addressed by the developer. The remaining items are not significant to significantly impacting the plan, so at this point, we feel confident that they're going to make those revisions to our satisfaction. So our recommendation to you all is to recommend approval with the contingency that staff reviews and approves it. We also have Nettie Boyle here representing CSR, so if you have any questions for her as well.
They come forward, please.
Hi.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Because this is a fairly wooded piece of property, what is the intent on percentage of timber that will be removed? It's not gonna be clear cut, right?
So we'll have an environmental specialist go through the site. So we're going to try to save trees that we can that are certain size and certain height and certain species. So we're not going to try to save like the hackberry trees, but the nicer trees. We'll try to save those, and we'll have a landscape architect develop a comprehensive plan on the tree preservation. And then that'll be submitted with the construction documents as well. So we do have a number of landscape requirements. So instead of installing more trees, if the contractor can preserve and maintain as many trees as they can, that will help entice the contractor to be able to, and developer to save as many trees as they can and preserve the area as much as possible.
But there is nothing in the regs that requires a certain percent, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
I'm asking staff now.
We're talking about a specific plan district. So this is going to be a unique zoning district where forest preservation can be, staff has requested forest preservation, be written into the zoning ordinance. So it's very specific. It can be enforced because it's specific to this property. So yes, staff has a concern concerning the forests on the larger piece of property. We have asked for a tree preservation plan, how that's going to be accomplished, who's going to do it, and how that information is going to be communicated to the contractor. So those trees that are to be saved can be saved. And so it will be in the ordinance, very specifically. So this is our first attempt with a specific plan development in district. It gives the city the opportunity to request more and get a higher level of development, and it allows the the developer to have mixed uses and get a little higher density, and so make a community. So there are many aspects to this that we're looking forward to. But to answer your question very specifically, we have a major concern about the forest and the forest preservation.
And as a result of it being a standalone zoning ordinance for sites, being site-specific, what about buffering between this development and existing house lots? Will there be a requirement in that one as well? I can't see it on,
Yes.
on the plat.
If you will run it back, they can see that.
So where the developed site is adjacent to lower density housing, so you'll see there along Bluebird and South Wark, we'll have a screening buffer, and part of that buffer will contain 5 feet of vegetation with the density being specified. I've been in communication with Public Works on the density and the wording of that requirement. And then included within that buffer will be an 8-foot greenway. So we have that pretty much circumventing the entire site, but very focused on making sure, especially in the areas where there's lower density residential that we're abutting, that we make sure we provide appropriate screening in those areas. And those areas are really focused on the South Wark and the Bluebird side. The properties that are adjacent to the site on the other sides are, I believe, zoned AG2.
And the greenway is separate from the bike trail?
Yes, sir. The bike trail will be included within the roadway system. So with a 26-foot wide asphalt, only 11 feet will be dedicated to traffic in each direction. So 22 feet will be dedicated to traffic. There'll be a 4-foot wide bike lane that will be focused in the uphill direction. So the bikes going uphill will have their own designated lane, and then we'll have markings on the downhill side that they'll have a shared use lane with the traffic.
And one more, will the greenway be paved, or will it be gravel, or will it be green?
It will be, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the wording. It'll be like a binder in asphalt, but not like a road top.
Just the surface?
Just it'll be a hard surface, yes.
Thank you.
You mentioned 3 access points. Could you point those out on that?
Yes, sir. So, here we go. One on the south of the page there is Canterbury Drive coming into the development. The access point on the west, you'll see, goes and connects to Bluebird Drive. So there'll only be a small portion that we would assume that most traffic would be going from Bluebird to Batson Parkway. So there'll only be a small portion of Bluebird that would have any kind of traffic on it, and we would also assume that that traffic would be dedicated to just the houses located near that egress point. And then to the northwest corner of the site, you'll see there's the primarily focused the entrance, and it'll have commercial on both sides of the entrance, and that's where the majority of the traffic will be going in and out of the development.
Any other questions?
I did have a question.
No, go ahead.
I think Mr. Joel, he spoke about the landlocked that was in that area.
That was what I was going to ask.
Joel, or, yeah. So your parcel is up here.
If you go to the first slide that they showed, you'll be able to see it the best.
I'm sorry.
Yes, so right there, that is our parcel right there, that is landlocked on all sides. The Batson Parkway extension has a retaining wall, so we cannot enter it from there. The only option that we have is to go down to where that entrance is, but it would require us to have an easement to be able to get there. But we don't have anything in place right now, so right now we're just stuck.
And I have spoken to you. So I have returned your calls briefly, but again, this is more of an in-depth conversation. And so his parcel has road frontage on the Batson Parkway. I don't know the entirety of the elevation difference and the details of that situation. But there is a possibility, because the commercial is adjacent to that site there. There is a possibility to have some type of connection, but again, that would be a little more in detailed and making sure it would fit with the city's plan and the staff recommendations, and this is a more in-depth conversation. And I don't have all the details and the specifics about his site.
Sure, if I could just say, the property easements, that's between private property owners, so that is something that they will have to figure that out.
Is that something that you think that can be worked out with the city staff? Or is that one of
The easement
things
issue is
that
between
is
the
sort of-
property owners, so they would have to come to an agreement. It's not a city.
Any other questions?
I think-
Go Go ahead.
I don't really have a question, but it seems like we need to spend a little bit more time before we make a call on this to work out some of the problems that we have, that I'm hearing.
Can I address any of those that you are, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering if I could address any of those concerns
Well,
that you.
I'm concerned about the gentleman from South representing South Haven, some of that.
Right.
A little bit more time so you guys can work that out.
So you would postpone for South Haven and not having an easement agreement
Well,
involved
I
with
just
that?
want you guys to come to an agreement on, see if we can work it out. So
Hey,
it'd be a
Mr.
win-win
Reyes would
situation.
love to speak towards that.
Yeah, I'm sure we can work it out. I mean, we can come through the commercial property. I mean, so I don't see that being any problem at all, you know? Well, then we just gotta sit down and talk about it here. That's it. The money, and, I mean, you just design, right? You gotta design the easement right there, so,
Right.
yeah.
I know there was a concern about the amount of traffic on the road, and said it would add at least 3,000 cars per day.
Well, we did a study on that, right? So you got,
So we did a study on a traffic, so we have I'm so sorry. So we had a certified engineer that focuses in traffic studies, did a study for the area. And the city of Springfield does have it's in the ordinance where they recommend using, I believe it's 10 trips per day per home. So that's where the 3,000 came from. But with the engineer's traffic study, and I'd be happy to share that with anyone or point out on certain areas, but no improvements were noted. And they looked at several intersections around the site and the delays in the traffic and the amount of traffic, but it gets really in-depth in there. But if you look towards the summary and the recommendations and look at their analysis, and just like as I spoke earlier, they look at the existing traffic conditions right today. And then they look at the projected, so they're guessing based on their experience and their knowledge and the traffic in the area, their projected traffic study for 6 years down the road without our development. So the predicted traffic without our development did suggest that signalization be installed within Batson Parkway. And I believe that's something that's like in the works with the city department or as needed as the parkway is developed. But in the future, with the Batson Parkway installed, and if the signalization is placed on Batson Parkway, our development does not increase the need for any kind of additional traffic signalization or stop signs. I have it here tabbed that they have the different intersections and they grade them an A, a B, and a C, and the majority of the intersections are graded A. There are two that get bumped down to a B, and that would be off of the Canterbury side over here. And the delay in the traffic means the average delay. So it could be more at peak times, it could be less at lower peak times, but the average delay is approximately 2 seconds. So we're adding a 2-second wait time at a stop sign, but the grade of the intersection in terms of if it should be upgraded or not is still a B, which is still acceptable from highway guidelines.
You are expecting most of the traffic to exit right onto Batson Parkway, right?
Yes,
The majority of it.
the majority of it, yeah.
Being as this is a preliminary master plan, where would it go from here? Who would have the final say, staff or mayor and alderman?
So from the preliminary master development plan, this will go to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for approval, and then there'll still be a final master development plan that will need to be reviewed. As part of the final master plan, it requires a traffic study, so they will have to do that. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen can choose to have them do that at any time, but it is required as part of the final.
And then we'll see that again, correct?
The final?
Yes.
Yes.
So there's time for these concerns to be addressed before everything is finalized out, correct?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion and I'll explain the motion. How's that?
Go right ahead.
And I'll say this to the people that are here out of concern as well. I've been involved in these type things for years in my past life of working with the county and the planning commission there. We have a situation here that's different than anything we've ever seen inside the city. I think we're the city, and I'm kind of a disinterested person because I live in the county. I'm a representative for the city's planning commission, but I live in the planning region of, out in the county. When the planning commission looks at these type developments, we look at it from a standpoint of whether it fits and whether or not it can be served and what effect it will have on the city in the future. And our job is to look at what the staff comes up with from the utility standpoint, from roads, from gas, from electric, from sewer, from wastewater, drainage, the whole 9 yards. And for us to turn something down, it becomes very difficult just because we may not like it. And that's the situation the planning commission is. You'll have another public hearing to go before the Board of Mayor and Alderman, and that would be a good time to take what you learned tonight and go in and either make another presentation in a different mode, but you can't come up and say, I don't like it. You can say it, but it doesn't carry a lot of weight. So, with that being my thought process, I move that we approve based on staff recommendations, based on the zoning ordinance, and the things that we will be able to address at future point before the final plan is adopted.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Richard?
Yes.
Bibb?
Yes.
Townsend?
Yes, I buy that.
Gregg?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Poole?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Passes with 8.
Very good. Moving on to item 3.1, old business, other business. We have no old business or other business. And the Board of Zoning Appeals October meeting is canceled. So, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.